Hey everyone, in today's video we're going to take a look at this Grome's GRT3 vacuum tube tuner. This one showed up locally, and the issue with it is when you do that, the station doesn't change because the string is loose or something. I'm not quite sure yet, but we're going to probably have to restring this. As far as I'm concerned, this has also never been turned on in a very long time as well, so we'll probably turn it on first and then address the string and see what else needs to happen, because we can control the station just by moving the cap here. So I'll show you a closer look at this thing and then we'll turn it on. Now, I don't normally work on stuff like this, but what really needs to happen here is this string needs to be replaced. You can see we're kind of loose here, and lucky for me I've got the photo fact right here, and we can see the stringing is very simple. So this should not be very hard. Famous last words. But yeah, this thing is old. I would guess 50s or 60s. Not exactly sure the decade, but something. Oh, let's put that back. There we go. Looks like we've got a tuning meter, which is actually quite cool. And this says Franklin Park, Illinois, USA. Looking inside, we've got a pretty sizable cap here, and they were bigger back in the day. A lot of 70s stuff has smaller caps. And we've got some tubes, coils for adjustments, transformer, filter capacitors. Let's see, how do we even hook this thing up? On the back we've got an output right there, so pretty simple. And there's your antenna connections right there, also very simple. I'm actually just now realizing I don't even know if this is a stereo FM tuner. I don't see any stereo light on it. As I look closely, we can see some of this silk screen or whatever is starting to flake off on the inside, so that's a shame, but also I guess to be expected. This is at least 60 years old, you know. And then looking right here, it does not say anything about stereo. Yeah, looking at this schematic here, I don't see anything that says MPX or stereo separation or whatever, so this just might be a mono FM tuner. And AM, of course. Alright, let's get this thing turned on. So we actually need to phone in a friend to test this thing. We need a amplifier to hook speakers up to see if this tuner actually works. So we're going to call in the Marantz 2215B because it's nearby and I know it works. We can switch that to aux, and we can grab a cable and hook up the tuner to the Marantz 2215B. Boy, is this cord crusty. I'll have to be pretty careful with this thing. Yeah, it doesn't even want to uncoil here. Not nice, not cool. Since this is old tube gear and that power cord could just have bare exposed conductor, we're going to need the isolation transformer. And old tube gear sometimes has a hot chassis, so like I can just get the hot line right to my finger by touching that if I wanted to. If you don't know what this is, look it up, but basically what happens is this isolates the house's power from what you're doing here. So basically there is no actual connection because this is a one-to-one transformer. If I were to touch this hot thing and my body were grounded to the house or the neutral on the house, I wouldn't get shocked because there's no way for the circuit to be completed, so that keeps me safe. And since this appears to have not been turned on in for freaking ever, let's also use a variac to slowly bring it up and see if we can get the capacitors to reform in an ideal way. I guess I should check underneath here for anything obviously terrible first. It's at least fused, so that's nice. Alright, this one main filter capacitor is loose, which is interesting to me. And I think that's just my cable. Maybe I should get a new cable. Another day. Okay, so I have my isolation transformer plugged in. I have my variac plugged into my isolation transformer. The variac is getting power, and the tuner is plugged into the variac, which is not turned on yet. I will turn on the tuner. At least I think I will. The switch is not turning. What's going on here? I do not like how this switch feels at all, so we can't really do much yet. Let's take this knob off, see if that's giving us more trouble than it should be. Okay, that's off. What's going on here? This thing will not turn. What's up with that? Is it turned on or not? Let's check continuity on the switch. Okay, it's turned on. Okay, this is really weird. I can't get the switch to move. I don't really know what's going on. So, you can see this is where the power comes in right here, and it goes along here. It goes through to the power switch, which is right there, and then it goes on this other wire, which is on here, and then it goes into the transformer. So that's definitely the power switch there. So I'll come down here and I'll show you. So you can see we've got an integrated power switch selector switch right here, so we can, switch between our modes and have a power switch. So here's your power switch. And what's happening is it's kind of bottoming out in a way. That metal piece keeps running into something there, and I shouldn't have to crank really hard on that, of course, because it's a switch. And this was just spinning in there. And if I take my multimeter for continuity and I put it on that power switch, apparently it's turned on. So what mode is it stuck in for being turned on? I don't know. This is turning into a project. I think I might as well try and turn it on, because apparently it is on. So I'm going to do this. So now we have 0% variac going into this thing. I'll bring it up to, I don't know, 30 volts for now. And I'm just going to slowly bring this up until we've got something. Again, also going to make sure, do we have power going to this thing? So if I do that, I see we have the 25 volt or whatever. Oh, that's very interesting. We have two different AC voltages on either side of this switch. So maybe this switch is just completely toast, because these should be equal. That's very bizarre. Okay, now we're at 60 volts. Check those voltages again there. Yeah, 27 where it used to be, whatever, and then... Okay, maybe I'm not understanding that power switch quite right, because those voltages are about the same. Okay, so what I just did is I just kind of moved that metal thing you saw out of the way with this flathead, and that allowed me to turn this and get it so I can actually move this through. So I think it was turned off indeed. So now let's check continuity again on that switch, see if anything is different. It's not, which is still strange to me, but okay. Let's bring this up to the 30 volts again. So there's our 30 volts AC. Let's check AC at the switch again. So we should have equal ACs now, and we don't. Okay, I think we have a failed power switch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run a jumper across the switch and see if that does anything else for us. You know what? Let's check the fuse. We never checked the fuse. Oh my god, if it's the fuse, I'm going to be angry. It doesn't look blown, but it might be. Let's see. Check continuity. That's a good fuse. Very interesting. Let's pull out that jumper and see what we get. And we jumper the power switch contacts on the back. So now that I have that, we should be hardwired per se. Let's bring our variac back up to the 30 volts AC again. And let's check and see if we've got equal AC voltages at the switch ends again, which we absolutely should, since we just jumpered them. And we do. So that's good. So that means something should be happening in here now. So now I'm going to check for any signs of life under here again, which is going to be in the form of DC. This thing is completely dead. Nothing is happening. Why? Okay, I'm thinking with the fuse, and I think that the fuse has something to do with our issues. If you were to stick these two in your wall on the hot and the neutral, you'd get a reading of 120 AC thereabouts. So if I do that, I have this set to 30 volts AC right now. If I do that between this and the wall, I get my 30 volts AC. But the minute I go over to the other side of the fuse right here, now I get my 30. I did not get that before. So now that I've messed around with that fuse, I think we're actually getting power now. Oh yeah, what I was actually going to do is we have two secondary coils on this transformer, and the red wires are supposed to be giving 140 volts AC. So let's find both ends of that and set it to AC, and then maybe that's going to tell us if it's working. Well, we have half of it. Maybe things are working. Alright, I guess we're on to something finally. Okay, I'm at 100 volts AC and I'm starting to see light out of the tubes, which means that at least the grid heaters are working. So let's just give it the full 120 here. I do get some AC hum, but no stations. Let's try moving this. Okay, that's not working at all. I guess we can try jiggling tubes. Sometimes this will give you something. Oh, got a little bit of static out of that one. Okay, each tube has received a sufficient jiggle. You know, it would make sense to hook up an antenna, don't you think? Here's an antenna. We have an antenna. Let's try. Oh, we got it. It works. Barely. Yeah, that's a great song to hear, I gotta say. Well, I guess this thing is certainly worthy of a restring since it actually turns on. So, I guess I'd best be getting to that, huh? Now I'm seeing this switch is extremely dirty. So, alright, so here's the ultimate question. Will this turn off when I move this jumper off? Let's see. Yeah. It turned off. Wow. We'll come back. Yeah, it comes back. Okay, so I had another finding. I was just kind of jiggling around these tubes like I was earlier, and I found that this one, if I jiggled it around more than others, I'll put it back in, I could maybe or maybe not get sound. So I put it back in, and as you can see, there's nothing happening really. Yes, it does need to warm up a little bit before it can actually transfer the electrons and whatever, but you can see nothing's working. So, and also notice there's no static. Like, we haven't really gotten much static out of this thing. So if I take this tube out, and I found one just like it in my collection, 6BA6. Thank you, Tyler. If I put that one in, watch what happens. Okay, it's in. Wait a second. Like, the thing completely wakes up. You know, with some exceptions. Come on. sockets need to be cleaned really badly. But like, we never got reception like this. And like this tuning meter is actually working too. It's really cool to see. It's working quite well. So, yeah, I guess I got kind of lucky finding that one bad tube, because this thing is really back in business now. I think that potentially just bypassing the power switch, then a restring, this thing is pretty okay again. I think this is going to be really hard to show on camera, but I'll just show this again. You know, that's what you do if you're gonna restring this thing. And yeah, I guess I'll do a time lapse. I don't know. Well, I got it, but joke's on me because I cut my string just too short. So I think I'll need to make a little extension and that'll get this to work. And there's enough room to do that in this particular situation. In other situations you might be SOL and have to restart. Okay, so now that I've got it run along all the paths and stuff, I'm going to want to kind of pull this and tension it some so we have some tension on the spring here. We'll bring this around this loop and start figuring out how we're going to tie this. I was not an Eagle Scout, so this is not easy for me per se, but I don't know, let's give it a shot. Okay. Knots are tied. Looks good to me. Let's cut off our excess. There we go. What do you know? A functioning tuner string. Now we just gotta tune it to a known station and then put this little meter back where the station is. So there it is. We've got this thing working. Power switch jumped, and that's just how it's going to be because that's what the owner wants. The situation here is this guy, he's got like a whole bunch of stuff like this, and but he's older, so it's not as easy for him to do little stuff like rerunning the string here. So I'm happy to do that for the guy. But anyways, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this brief little video here. There wasn't really much to it, but it's always interesting to power on something super old and see what it needs, you know? So that's it. I'll see you in the next one.